Okay, I started at the University of Leeds in September 2007, so I was 18. And the first semester I was a proper fresher, went out all the time and met loads of new friends and stuff. Everybody was suffering from freshers flu. If you didn't get freshers flu, then you were very, very lucky. So I had a bad cold, but didn't think very much of it. And I was doing a lot of dancing at the time. And I was having dance rehearsals almost every night. So in the December, I had this bad cold and I'd been to a dance rehearsal in the evening. And I came back and I can remember saying to my boyfriend at the time, I don't think I'll be able to see you tomorrow because I feel really ill. And then I went to bed and in the middle of the night was violently sick. And I can remember being very, very cold and shaking a lot. And then in the morning, I had to drag myself out of bed because I had an important lecture to get to that I didn't dare miss. And luckily unlocked my bedroom door and made it out into the hallway. And the lights were really blinding me. And I stumbled into the kitchen and a few of my flatmates were in there. And I was passing in and out of consciousness at this moment. So they decided then that they'd have to call an ambulance. So then I got taken to A&E and I can remember the paramedic on the way there saying to me, what have you been taking? And then in A&E, a junior doctor came by and saw the start of a rash on my arm and so said to one of the doctors, we need to get her in straight away. I had complete organ failure. They put me on life support. The doctor said to my parents that there was nothing really more that they could do for me. But I managed to make it through that first night. I was on intensive care for about 3 weeks. My 19th birthday as well. And I got moved to high dependency. And my kidneys had completely failed and they weren't working still. So I got moved to a kidney ward. There was a lot of damage to my legs at this point. So they said that the damage to my left leg was so extensive that I'd have to lose it. And I was absolutely devastated because I danced my whole life. And I didn't know anything about prosthetic legs at that time, so it was very hard. I didn't think that I'd be able to walk again. I had my left leg amputated in the February. And then the plastic surgeon said to me that they'd examined the right one during the operation and had realised that that one was so badly damaged as well. I could try and save it, but I'd be dragging my heel and I wouldn't be able to move my foot or anything. And so by this point, I really just wanted to start recovering. And so I had my right one amputated as well. The nurses had to change a drain in my leg and I can remember they just took the duvet back and I can remember just looking down and being absolutely devastated because it just didn't look like my body anymore. Such a strange feeling. I went back to my parents in the March when I was out of hospital. And because I'd just started at university and I'd had my first taste of independence, it was really difficult moving home to begin with, especially because at this point I didn't have prosthetic legs. So I was in a wheelchair, so I relied on my parents so heavily, even to go to the toilet and to be put to bed, and it felt like being a child again. And I had looked on the internet at prosthetic limbs, maybe stupidly, because I think it gave me a really high expectation of what I was going to achieve straight away. So when I first got my first pair of legs, I was so disappointed. They just didn't look real. But I learned to walk on them and was so determined to be walking again because I hated being in a wheelchair. I wanted to do as much as I could by myself and not rely on my parents. I can remember the first time that I threw down my crutches and my dad was like, "What are you doing? You're crazy." But yeah, that was a good feeling. Learning to walk again. Must have been strange for my parents though. It's like seeing me walk twice in a lifetime for the first time. returned to Leeds in the following September. So I was at home for 6 months. Emotionally, it was very different. I felt more insecure, less confident to get out and meet people. And I was scared about telling people as well, because I didn't know what their reactions were going to be at that point, and I hadn't really come to terms with it myself. But everybody was so supportive and quite blown away, really, and the encouragement that I got from new friends really did give me a lot of confidence. I think that walking on prosthetic legs, it has physical restrictions. Exercise in general is something that is more difficult, and just differences, not limitations, but differences. There's still things that I want to do and will do, and this hasn't changed that aspect, but it's just taken into consideration that things are different and will be different. But the way I look at myself and view myself, and the way that I view different people as well, has changed considerably. And the whole experience gave me a real insight into human compassion. I think the whole experience is a test of character. I think I was very determined anyway, and I think that was part of me getting up and walking so soon afterwards, and even surviving. The doctor said to me when I went back, he said, "You survived because you wanted to. We did as much as we could, and there was something in you that made you survive."